build that brand voice, that reflects the business. In the same way that a lot of businesses will, every 6 to 12 months, take a look again at their mission statement, at their business. They do, yearly reviews with their employees. If you learned, 6 months from now that one tool now replaces the 4 or 5 you used to use, well, do you want to completely shift from that previous one? Do you like having to pay for 3 pieces of software? Or do you want to have one place that's the fail point or the fail safe? Do you trust that?
Craft it, shape it, own it, crown it. 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 No more excuses. No more branding band-aids. The art of positioning. Let's freaking go.
Now's my time and I won't hesitate.
If you're frustrated with your marketing, whatever you try from ads to website revamps, you're still at this plateau. There's a fair chance it's either your message is all over the shop or your marketing is just following the industry. A fresh position and strategy to implement this consistently throughout your business might be the fix. Visit badasserybyb.com to find out more. This episode is sponsored by Dealfront, and there's this story I'll be sharing in a little while, fronting them against LinkedIn Sales Nav. Who will come out on top? All right, so this is the first panel episode of season 3, and I'm pumped because we're about to take on AI and automation's influence on your brand voice. We've got Leland Best, who AI has researched is the world's sexiest man, and Chris Troka, who is amassing a cult following through scratching records at weddings. Is it true what they say, gents?
A little bit. But most of the time, people see me with hair now and they think I'm just AI avatar. I'm trying to fill the space, but I don't know if I can live up to the brand.
You look like a model.
But thanks for that. I do appreciate the award. I mean, I'll take it any day of the week.
AI knows its stuff, apparently. It's just been looking at your photos going, this is it. It's the hair.
So I'm a swipe left, not a swipe right. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I have to ask AI. Let me just check with GPT. See.
Okay, that's better. That works for me. Chris. Talk about your scratching, Chris. You've got a scratch problem.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm spinning records over at weddings for the last 10 years. Went back to school for marketing, and now I build AI automation and marketing plans for local businesses.
Exactly. And I mean, Leland, for yourself.
Sure. My name's Leland Best. I'm the owner and operator of Best Studios LLC, aka Best Live TV. I also run the Best AI TV channel out on YouTube. So,
maybe this is why GPT was saying all these things. It kept on seeing best, and it's like, okay, there's a track record and same thing, for you, Chris. So, coming back to it now. With our topic of AI automations, let's say that our listeners have constructed a clear defining voice for their brand. It's as memorable as, say, Daffy Duck versus Bugs Bunny. What strategies for training AI tools against these brand voice guidelines would you suggest so that there is that consistent tone, regardless of what channel?
I think it's all going to be based on the prompting that you put inside of it and providing examples, not only of what insight you want the AI agent or the LLM to know about the business, but give it output results too. You can find that the agent can better understand when you give it an end result. So that's been my best tips for kind of molding this AI agent to better match the brand voice.
And I think brand voice is it's both objective and subjective, because some people obviously have a brand voice that's laid in stone. You see it, it's obvious. Typical brands are like that when it comes to high-end products or anything of that nature that's retail, especially with a face on it. But when you're talking about service-oriented industries and things of that nature, sometimes it's a little harder to find your brand voice. So I highly recommend, even though business owner might think they have a good handle on what their brand voice is, I still encourage those people to go through forms and processes and onboarding with me so that I can kind of ask the questions that bring out more of that voice than what they may have done through a simple form process. So it can be a relatively intricate aspect of building that brand voice. If you just stop yourself short and have just a personal background and a client and business avatar, that's one way, but I think you're missing the mark if you don't go deep enough.
What are some kind of questions that you might be asking, Leland?
For me, a lot of this stuff actually wraps around their lifestyle and work philosophy and their personal and professional values, because I think a lot of people just look at a brand on the surface as a visual entity, as a audio entity, you know, your little catchphrase or whatever that you have. But it really comes down to positioning and, you know, how are you different than your competition? What is it that you're working in? Where's your geographic location? What is your demographic? Is it male, female, children, adult, mature? I mean, there's a lot of questioning that should be done when building a brand, but a lot of people fall short of that. They just build an image rather than an actual story. And I think the brand should have a story behind it. It shouldn't just be an image of text and a paragraph of a mission statement type of thing.
And really checking in about like, hey, so this is what our competition, you know, this is their direction. How are we really different to what they're doing in a way that customers can recognize that? And Chris, you know, you were talking about, you know, putting all that information into AI and programming it. Are there specific things that people might miss or that you've seen people miss when they're putting it in there to make sure that, you know, it doesn't become overly AI? Like, you know, there's sometimes AI words that come through regardless of like trying to get that brand voice in there.
One of the biggest misconceptions is treating an LLM or AI as a single point of truth and trust any sort of output that comes from it instead of actually reviewing what did it say? Is this what I was expecting? So you really need to test and run all of your AI programs to see if it's creating what you're looking for. And if it's not, you need to go back to where you started and see what is it missing? What elements are, you know, just being passed by or the AI is kind of skipping. So when you're, you know, testing and running your programs here, you just go back to your prompt and see if you can rework something. People tend to be very basic with their prompting and just, hey, make me this, as opposed to here's some background why I'm doing this. At the foundation of any marketing plan, it's always based on your audience, your offer, and your messaging. So if you can't understand that before going into it, you're not going to get a better output from it. So the more information you put into it, the better output you'll get.
Put in like a whole like page full of information in there. Go like, okay, so this is my why. This is like how the tone of voice sounds. These are like how I'm different to my competition. And as Leland was saying, like, you know, these are the situational factors, etc. Just go into that level of detail and explain that.
Yeah, you can even have a conversation with your AI as well.
I like that.
Do you need to keep on putting it in, or is it something that, like, you know, okay, we've put it all in once and it's going to recall it every time, or does it need to be further adapted as you go?
It can be various. I think what you're going to find when it comes to building a brand voice, and let's add to that personality, because a voice is just that. It can make noise, but it doesn't necessarily have a personality behind it. So, for instance, two of the questions I've asked my brand developing clients is, if your company was an animal, what would it be? If your company could drive, what vehicle would it drive? You know, are you driving a VW or are you driving a Rolls Royce? You know, it helps you to establish in very simple terms what it is you're really out and after for. You know, it's competitors are a big thing. And if you don't know who your competitors are, then especially in those types of niches, some niches don't have a lot of competitive, you know, reference that they have to deal with. But when a brand does have a lot of competition, if they don't know who their biggest competitors are or what they do better than them, they'll never be able to position themselves in a better spot. So there's a lot to that.
Absolutely. And to add to what Leland said, where AI kind of references the material that you provide to it, there are two options. You can either have it reference material each time, you know, it provides a query, or you can have it based on an understanding, so it already knows this past conversation. Most AI LLM models actually create their own summary from the material that you presented, so it can't always reference material verbatim. Now, this can depend based on the model, but it's something to be mindful of. Is it's almost like the telephone game, where it reads the information and it's kind of regurgitating in its own way. So when it goes, it would have to reference the material once more again versus its own summary to have a better understanding of the brand and actual details. Have you found that similar, Leland, as well? Like certain models have better referencing capabilities than others?
Well, there's a lot going on there to unpack, and the reason for that is an LLM doesn't really have a memory of its own. We have to create that either through an automation workflow that stores some of the content as it goes through the automation, or in a memory stack like on a chat GPT. You can actually save some information about yourself within the app because it has a knowledge base, you might say, of data, and you can certainly build upon things like chatbots and LLMs that are defined for a business. Say you've refined one for yourself, it's an in-house LLM, then you can certainly program it with a database of knowledge that it will always reference and go back to. So there's not that need to keep bringing up the brand voice each time you go to create content with it. But there are, like with LLMs, and I have to interject here because the day of the LLM is just about over already, and not a lot of people realize that. A lot of the people in the AI space for the first time are going, what's an LLM? How do we use it? They're learning how to chat with it, but the next iteration of AI is going to be very subquadratic, which means there won't be an LLM using what's known as RAG, and that is how it's basically using a token to generate a guess response. Each time you ask it a question, it comes up with data, and if you continue to iterate on that data, it adds tokens, which are like the sequence guess, where you go apple, orange, orange, apple, what's next, okay? That's how an LLM works. It has to go back to that beginning step every time it goes through an iteration to learn what it was expected to do. So until we build memory components into these with automation systems and other apps, we really have to go through that process. But it's changing so fast, it's hard to keep up. So we have to be ready for the next phase.
I mean, how soon do you think it'll be that next phase?
End of 25. I can guarantee it. LLMs will be dead by the end of 25.
Chris, what do you think?
It's already on the wall.
I was going to guess 6 months, and I looked down at the calendar and realized, oh yeah, that is 6 months from now. So end of 25. It's just it's just taking so many different shapes now.
So in that case, what would you recommend for listeners how to prepare accordingly so that their
I don't think anyone
brand
can
voice can be maintained and they don't have to be like scrambling again going, how the hell do we make sure our brand voice is there? Or just make sure that somebody on their team knows their brand voice to a T, knows what their personality is, be it like what it looks like as a character, the emotions, etc., to have that support line.
My answer to that would be have a prompt in place that has all of the data about whether that's access to a database that you already have. Words you'll hear thrown out a lot are, Google Sheets are used, but that's certainly not a secure and very scalable process to use in AI. Most people would go to a larger database structure like Postgres or Superbase and use those formats to store all their business data in, and then have the AI access that database so that it's maintained there rather than, and in-house as well, rather than on a third-party database.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. Just, it's going to be software based on the business use case model. It might be okay for like some solopreneurs and small teams to start some automation and AI within Google Sheets and many of these third-party automation softwares. But Leland's right. Once you get to a larger scale, that data can become a mess and an intricate just web of, like a spider web, that you're not sure where that point of failure could be. So definitely the scaling issue comes into play. But I think just like Leland said with the brand voice, your website sometimes carries that, or you have like a buyer persona for your business or a mission statement, and you have a lot of meetings, about that. So have that as your single point of truth, where that can be fed into the next iteration of whatever AI system might be.
A lot of work is being done currently with developing websites in such a way, and you may have heard of MCP, which is it's a training protocol that allows people to build tool sets in AI that people can access from the back. And in doing so, Anthropic has opened up a big door for companies to provide services via AI on the back end of things, the API end of things, which is the advanced programming interface. So doing so, it's given us the opportunity to decide what we want to use as, the base structure for our foundation. And having a website right now just stocked full of your business information is really enough to build that brand, because AI can access that website and determine, based on what you have it full of, what you're trying to perform. And I think that's where you should focus right now, is on a really strong website with a lot.
I just want to add to the website and content that you're putting out there, in the same way that many people were optimizing their own websites and content for search engine optimization, or SEO, and then for Google My Business or Google Business Profile. The same, or it's similar to trying to optimize your content for AI and LLMs, because if you're not on the internet, how will the AI know about you? And with the big shift from traditional Google search into asking ChatGPT for search query results, even Google themselves are kind of shooting themselves in the foot with their AI overview. And people also ask, it's not until 60% of, down the page do you get your first or second organic result. This is Google taking over the space within our own data. So businesses should try to own your own data, but make that accessible for a lot of these LLMs. So there's a few different ways to structure your data, or the way that, just like Google likes to read content, AI LLMs, AI likes to read that in a certain way. So do a little bit of research into what format certain ones get visible online, but most importantly, have it for yourself, just as Leland said.
Any tips that not many people know in terms of making sure that it is seen by Google?
I would say it's similar to structured data. So all your images will want alt text, but also name the title of the image itself, what it should be, instead of, final, revised, edited, completed copy, 411, So yeah, you definitely want to give some context to both the images. But again, I feel like almost a little bit of that won't be relevant anymore, because now AI can now search images and understand the context of what's in these images. I don't even know if real CAPTCHAs can really be beaten by bots or not anymore, because when you click on pictures of traffic lights or bicycles, can AI do that now? Another funny story is when, was it OpenAI that gave ChatGPT or their own agent the ability to, I can't remember the task it gave it, but it said, you're on your own to complete this task. And it actually, the ChatGPT went to Fiverr, hired someone who could resolve the CAPTCHA to get signed into a site. So this is where AI agents are and can be. It's scary stuff.
That's insane. So what we're saying is, for now, try to go into your website and make sure that, hey, like, you're writing it with that voice. That voice is fully in there. Get your team making sure that images, etc., they have like proper names that can be referred back, and helping with the SEO. So moving forward from there, and Chris, you just mentioned this before, and I want to dig into that, is the automation side. So now that, say, for example, we have this connection to AI, how do we go about automating the voice, be it on social media, to make sure that, hey, there's still that creativity, there's still that engagement, there's still that personality?
Absolutely. One, I know Leland is going to have a lot of awesome ideas for this, but I'll share what I have done. Basically, I created a year's worth of content. So basically, ChatGPT understood my brand voice and the previous content that I had created. I asked it for a few examples. It gave me some. I wasn't, a fan of it. And then I gave it some better output. I said, this is actually what I'm looking for. Can you get vibes similar to this? So it said, okay, here we go. So it gave me that. And now I said, okay, I need 52 of these, right? One for each week. I need them put into an Excel spreadsheet. Column A should have a date and time between this date and this date. Column B should have the copy of the text. Column C can be this. And after about 5 minutes, it created an entire Excel spreadsheet based on exactly what I described that I could then go upload to both my social media scheduler, but also to the bulk content create in Canva. So now I can bulk create content within templates. Now, everything that I bulk described manually and automatically, I'm sure some of that can either be done solely based on an AI agent, or you can marry the two processes together where you're asking AI agents to create some things. It will send an API over to Canva, which will then preload that bulk loaded content. So it's just a combination of what the capabilities are at the time. But I know that AI agents are even taking over some of the common automations that we used to build manually, right? Both AI can build automations and do the automations, right? Leland, what's been your experience? Because I know you have some really awesome tools that you've made for this.
It can. One of the big things that I do right off the bat before I even create an automation, of course, is get the client to go through the brand form, to fill out the identity, get the voice and personality down. And I also have them take a lot of the content they've already created in written form and let GPT establish their writing style, because that's an important part of when you're dealing with social as well. When you're using it as a posting method, putting up your content on Facebook and YouTube or what have you, you've got to have not just the brand voice, but the way you speak it. Because if you just come out there with a generalistic prompt that is, produce me a Facebook post based on yada, 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 it's going to be very stagnant. It's going to be very monotone. It's just going to have that simple, you see it all over the place, and it's getting boring, and it's the kind of stuff Google doesn't like. And obviously that doesn't play into Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, but when you know where your audience is, if it's LinkedIn, if it's Instagram, if it's Facebook, they all have to be approached differently. So you use the AI in such a way that you train it on the person's brand voice and their personality and their writing style, so that then you can cue the prompts to the generator, the AI agent that's going to generate the content, to let it know that you need a specific type of post in a certain writing format, in a certain brand voice, in order to produce the post in the first place. Typically, the way we do it is we summarize content and curate it from other sources, have the AI make the summary, and then produce the content from the summary. So now we're not plagiarizing anyone. So we're using proper content curation methods, and it's allowing us to then let the AI have a little bit of free reign and creativity and generate the content for us based on its knowledge. And in doing so, it creates I read my own posts on LinkedIn and I'm like, didn't I write that? Did I really write that? And it's like, nope, wasn't me. And people respond honestly better to my LinkedIn posts developed by AI than the ones that I write myself. So I get more engagement on the AI posts. I didn't expect that at all.
And so this is saying don't copy from don't make this look like XYZ. That's like a populist trend, right?
Yeah, it is. If you just go in and say, create a Facebook post on this topic, you're going to get GPT's answer. You're not going to get your answer. You're going to get GPT's answer. But if you tell GPT, create a Facebook post based on a prompt using this brand voice and this, personality and this writing style, you're getting that close to the real thing. And it's kind of amazing the results you get out of that. But it does take you've got to go through that 2 or 3 day process of generating that content before you produce the prompts to produce the content.
As in build out, have your own content already written out, from your own brand.
Yes. Anything you've done, whether it could be a book, could be a PDF that you wrote one day, could be just your scribblings in your journal. Just photograph that and send it to GPT and let it read your scribble. it's that kind of stuff that makes it very personal and very much like yourself, and not like just some kind of machine building something for you.
Chris, I see you going like, oh my God, I have so many ideas there.
Just amazing stuff that happens. I was just thinking about trying to find a brand voice of a competitor. You could ask an AI agent to go visit their website and start to understand their social media and tell me what is their brand voice, what are they looking for, and now you can have an educated, engaging chatbot that you can now have a conversation with that base foundation of knowledge. Just, I mean, so many different things you can create. I also followed Leland's post where he showed me how to take a Google sheet where you just type in the topic and idea that you want for a blog post, and you can automate that to have an AI agent craft the blog post for you based on the style, based on the keywords that you entered, and it will create an edited draft within your website ready for human approval. So many different ways that you can both curate content, create content, summarize it, repurpose content. There's just so many different things you can do.
And I think
Repurpose is a whole nother ballgame.
There's even a further way that you can take this as well, where it's like, hey, how about when we're building out our brand voice? How do we make sure that it's extra clear, extra defined, extra different from competition? So, Chris, that idea of like, hey,
that would work
let's
as well.
look at
Compare,
the
do some comparative analysis.
Get it go through. Like, hey, how do they write? And make sure that you're not doing that. So, like, it becomes very much like Ben and Jerry's versus Haagen-Dazs. You see them next to each other, and you know that they're two very different brands, and they're memorable in their own right for that.
We're just agreeing with you.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
On that note, I'm going to pause real quickly to talk about my story with Dealfront. Recently, I had a call with LinkedIn Sales Nav team and was asking them about how deep into business status I can go. And they kept leading away from things like average revenue and recent updates of the business, like if they've acquired a new business. So here I am, frustrated as all heck, when a conversation comes up in the LinkedIn DMs with a business called Dealfront to chat about podcasts, of course. And I check it out, and I have to stop myself from overreacting and telling their team, have my soul. Really, this is all. It's all yours, because there it all was. Finding companies by revenue, by signals like acquisitions, and I might be a little hooked. But don't just leave it to me. Access your trial from the link in the description. Oh, and don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode, like, share, follow, and all those good things. All right, gents. So we've talked about how to get AI on board, how to automate, but what about the dangers? What dangers do you see that AI or automation could cause a brand's reputation if not implemented properly?
Who wants to
I think
start?
a lack of human review. I think a lack of human review can cause AI slop, and unfortunately bad content to go out there without being checked out. Additionally, for a lot of brands, something to keep in mind is just knowing that AI doesn't create, it replicates. So without original content going into feed the machine of AI, the output is going to continually get worse. So the fear that it's going to remove all of our jobs, absolutely. I mean, it seemed like it came for copywriters first, and then it was coders, and then it was graphic design artists, and now it's videographers, and they keep coming for each position that we hold dear to ourselves, and it's a little bit scary. But just know that it can't create, it just replicates. So it's going to need original content constantly fed into the machine, unless Leland has heard something else that now contradicts that little piece of hope I was hanging on to for AI.
Nope, it's the same old adage as it always was: garbage in, garbage out. And that's always how it will be with computing. It's just the nature of the beast. So what it I could give a perfect example of one. I was running an automation on an insurance cold email campaign, and in the process, we get all kinds of data points on the leads that we work from. So it's a very unnurtured lead with a lot of data, and then we use that data to create personalized emails out to the client's customer base and hope that we're going to get some responses. Well, that includes some pretty sensitive data sometimes, and if you're not careful as to how you orient the way that the AI accesses the data and then interprets and uses it in the personalized email, I had one go out where it told the person how much money they made a year. And I was like, whoops, that's not cool. It's basically showing that I have access to their annual income, and that's not a good thing. So there's obviously a lot of hallucinations that still take place as well within the AI space, and that's primarily due to the fact, like Chris mentioned, it doesn't create. It's based on guesswork in a lot of cases on the knowledge it has. A lot of like what we do as persons, we come up with an answer based on our knowledge, what we know, what we think we know. Same thing with an AI, only it doesn't have the ability to think back in time and know what it's done in the past. So again, if you don't build the proper prompt and know that you frame it in a framework and have some guardrails on it to say, don't go outside of the brand. Make sure if someone asks to get a recipe that you don't give them one. Things like that were the initial problems that AI had. A lot of that's gone away, but there's still people going in and literally force prompting AI tools that are, access points to other businesses and corrupting their AIs on the front end. So we have to know there are some dangers to that if you expose your AI to a public forum setting where people can use it all the time, you may have a code breaker come in there and decide to prompt it in such a way that now they're getting access to your customer client base and things like that. There are people out there that can pull that off. So security is huge, and obviously knowing that you're generating content with some safety rails on it too.
And another one of the biggest irks that I've faced towards AI and automation, all that is alienation of customers. Say for example, you've had a customer on board that's been with you for 10 years, 20 years, and you suddenly get an automation on board. And I believe, Chris, we were talking about this before, but how do you avoid that alienation or frustration that can come when you're putting in automation into the business, or you're including AI there, so that customers still feel like, hey, I'm still talking to the same people?
Absolutely. I think it's really based on the business. Your automation should really be replicating what a normal human touch point would do. So don't add in a bunch of garbage or touch points that don't bring value or are just kind of bothering people. That's not a good way for people to remember you, right? So the way you kind of build that into an automation, I like to build the option for a self-serve, right? An option for clients to have a single source where they can go to for some advice or tips or resources, or a chatbot that's even built on our brand, or kind of the tips and tricks that I give to people. So I don't force that into my clients or my businesses. Once that is taken over, it's more of a personalized white glove, hand-holding sort of relationship there. So it's just about knowing what do you want your business to be known for, and build that into what your automations or your AI agents would do for you. And I think Leland brought a great point about both the security and just the guardrails that you put in place. So don't give it so much power that there's absolutely no human review, or it's, go back and check the chat logs and conversation to make sure it's following your brand. If not, make adjustments, or you'll just find that you might want to change your automation or your AI agent altogether, and change your process so you find that balance between your business.
How much should we really be involved, in your opinion, to make sure that connection is still there, and that we avoid, Leland, what you were saying before, like these accidental mishaps?
Absolutely.
Human in the loop's kind of, again, it's one of those situations, and I think Chris mentioned the fact it is situational. I could send out an automation, and it really does develop. Like if I have an automation set up to just develop graphics for me, branded graphics, I could probably let that thing run all day and not think twice about it, because all I have to do is go back and choose the graphics out of the pile that I want to use. The good ones are used, the bad ones are thrown out. That isn't the case when you're sending out email. You know, the emails are going out 100 a day or 1,000 a day or something like that. You can't just stop everything in its tracks without breaking the whole campaign. So in doing so, you've got to at least test. That's the thing I think people have failed at the most already when it comes to AI, is setting up the framework, building the automation process, and then testing how the AI is working within that automation several times over, so that you know you have a standard result. You may get a good result the first few times and think, oh, this is great, this is going to work awesome, I can't wait, and fire it up. And that first result that comes out is the worst result you've ever gotten. It's because you didn't test it enough in certain situations to know what it might do wrong. So do 100 iterations of that email before you send it out to your client, before you know that it's actually producing a likely result every time.
So that's in marketing and sales, but what about customer service? How do we make sure that people aren't just like, what the hell, I want to talk to a human?
The human in the loop should always be there, so that if the AI cannot answer the question that the customer has, that's the first. And the second, it might even get stuck in its own mess of programming. So there should be a fail-safe rollover that instantly takes place the minute either a customer asks for a real person or the AI cannot fully answer respectfully what the person's looking for. So that's an instant click to either an IM, an email, or a phone call to a real person. And that way you won't lose your customer over it.
Absolutely. And just to add to what Leland said, I think just setting the expectation right off the bat. Don't pretend to be a human. Don't give it a human name. Never. You could literally put up front, I am an AI chatbot. I might make mistakes. What can I help you with today? One, now you're setting expectations here, and you're already saying, I could make mistakes. So be understanding. It's almost like the self-serve kiosk or, at the grocery store. Things can make mistakes. It might ring up something different. It may not weigh the item that you thought it did, and you need human support, but usually a human is able to come around to pick up where the machine or the computer left off. So just wanted to add, managing expectations is huge as well.
And I mean, if there is going to have that opportunity, because we still want to keep that human voice in there, I think more businesses should say, like, hey, by the way, you can still get access to people. Because a lot of the time we're hunting through websites and it's all you can see is like, you can never find an email address or like a phone number or anything like that. There's the AI chatbot and you're like, I'm screwed. Like I'm never going to be able to talk to a human person. There's never that information going, by the way, our AI chatbot is trained to say, like, if there's something it can't answer, it will send you to a human.
Yeah, that's a good point. That should be very upfront and right in the person's face to know that this is not your last resort, that you have more channels available to you if you just ask. And sometimes just adding a keyword prompt to the AI is enough to do that. Just if the word comes up human, if the word comes up, real person, if those words are ever used by the user, then you could just redirect them to something else immediately.
If a customer is swearing.
Yeah, right.
Include that in the list of words.
Yeah, sentiment's a big thing. I mean, that's one thing AI is capable of, is sentiment analysis. And if you allow it to do so, it can redirect a very disgruntled, customer into a better place. And you may not realize it's that capable. If you tell it to be empathetic, if you tell it to be sympathetic and start to listen to the customer, you're going to find that your AI is probably a little more empathetic than your customer service rep is.
It's crazy how good those AI chatbots can be. For my DJ website, it closed a corporate client for me, both DJ and photo booth. Basically, it kind of nurtured and pre-warmed the lead already. So that way, when I got back to it 6 hours later with an email, they're like, sounds great. What are the next steps? Or what can I do next? So, it's just another option. I still have my email, my phone listed there. They can still connect with me. But for those who want, faster support, quicker responses, that is available to them. And I love what Leland mentioned was sentiment analysis. It's not this predefined if, then, this, that sort of process. It can kind of bounce around between stages of the buyer's journey. Are they happy or sad? What have we completed so far? Can it, reference past conversations? So the way that these AI agents can be built a bit is really bring in customer service to another level, but don't take away that human support that helps lift it up and is the foundation of the AI chatbot as well.
So where would you guys say is the balance between AI automation and the human side? How much do you think either party should be involved?
If you're running your business properly, I think it should honestly be a 50-50 split. The only reason you're using AI is as a tool to take away the mundane, tedious, laborious work that you do every day to put you in front of your customer, instead of being the guy that, sorry, I can't talk to you right now. I got to take care of this. I'm busy. I'm doing my accounting. I'm doing this. I'm filling out my forms. I'm taking that stuff is what keeps you from your customer. It's the AI is going to fill that space so that now you step forward and you're the person that the customer sees instead. Your AI automations shouldn't even be seen. That should be something you shouldn't even talk about to your customer. They shouldn't know how that operates. They just should know that the result it produces is what they want. And it's a pain point issue. Fix the pain points. Don't worry about telling the person what you're building or how you're building it. Just solve the problem. That's all you need to do.
Absolutely, I agree with Leland. Half man, half machine. Find that balance. It's going to be based on the business, really. But as Leland kind of described, it's not about taking the human away. It's about freeing them up for more higher value tasks. So absolutely, a lot of business owners are stuck working in their business instead of on their business. So the AI and automations should work in the background. They don't have to be something you help promote or, hey, I'm using this and let me show you this. They don't care about how it's made. They just want that finished end result and that problem solved. So if you focus on that, it's something that, can be working in the background for you, and customers don't ever have to see it.
Fantastic. And so say, for example, as any brand, it does evolve, including the voice, right, and our messaging. What are your thoughts in terms of having AI there to monitor and adapt accordingly? Is that a great idea to set that up? Or is it just hey, let's every 6 months have a review of what's set up in terms of the automations, in terms of how we work with the AI, and go through and adapt that there?
It's a tough call right now because autonomous AI is something we are hoping to achieve, something that works on its own. We don't have to touch it. We set it, forget it kind of thing. But in reality, AI isn't capable of that yet, but it is capable now of self-learning. So as long as we continue along this track of building AI that's capable of teaching itself and learning from its own actions and its own prompting and things of that nature, it's only going to get better. And the one thing we always tell everybody right now is, no matter where you are in the AI space right now, this is the worst it's ever going to be. And it's only always going to get better. So where we're at now is just a glimpse of where we're going to be in a year. So always remember that. Always look forward. Don't ever look back to where AI was or what it was doing or even what it's doing right now unless you're using it. Just always know that things are going to change and you have to be ready for that change.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And just in the same way that a lot of businesses will every 6 to 12 months take a look again at their mission statement at their business. They do, yearly reviews with their employees. You want to do the same with your AI and automation, because chances are there's going to be a new AI tool or changes in the space or different capabilities or different pricing that is going to maybe change the foundation of what you're doing with your AI or your automation. If you learn, 6 months from now that one tool now replaces the 4 or 5 you used to use, well, it's up to you as a business. Do you want to do you want to completely shift from that previous one? Do you like having to pay for 3 pieces of software, or do you want to have one place that's the fail point or the fail safe? Do you trust that? So it's something that you as a business, want to decide. But I think moving forward, there's going to be a lot of changes and advancements where we'll have more competition and opportunities for us. And that's our opportunity as a business to then look back at what worked well for us, what didn't work, and what can I test and play with in the future to then build that brand voice, that reflects the business.
Now that you mentioned that, with all these tools coming out all the time, I face that frustration as well, where I'm just I'm so busy with doing different things in the business. It's how do we keep track of these tools? Is there a website that you guys, or a newsletter that you follow that has a good summary or something that you guys recommend?
It's mostly community driven right now. And I know a lot of people here probably are part of school platform. A lot of stuff is happening out on school. We run our own community using a Fluent community based on a WordPress site, and that's under my AIO brand. So there are places people can learn about AI. Ours is aiocrm.org/academy, and that's where people can just come out. It's a free community. We haven't been charging for it. It's really just to open people's eyes to what's going on in the space, understand how to generate content, how to use automations and the automation systems like Make and Init that are out there currently. We stay away from the Zapier and the Pabbly's mostly because they were focused on a whole different reign of processing before the AI advancement took place. So they weren't quite ready for what the newer platforms are utilizing in automation. So it's tough. There was another one out there. It's called, there's an AI for that, is a newsletter that goes out all the time. It's like the IFFTF or whatever the letter acronyms they use. So look for that. There's an AI for that. They come out on a daily, I think, with all the newest tools that come out. And the last word I heard is there are at least 1,500 new AI tools being built every day in the world. So there's no way to possibly keep up with them all. It's just, at this point, I can highly recommend, though, go lifetime if you can for a very limited cost. But don't go buying right now a lifetime service for something that's going to cost you $1,000, because it's not going to last for a lifetime. I can guarantee you that. Just go low on your spending right now. Try to use the free tools or the curated, like the GPTs out there. Rather than pay $20 a pop for every GPT, find an inclusive all-in-one like Merlin, or what's the other one out there? There's a couple of them, actually. Merlin AI is the one that I use a lot because it gives me access to all of them for one fee. I don't have to go open individual accounts to all of those GPTs to use them. So one way to look at it.
Yeah, and I'm using...
Absolutely. I forgot the question. I was just happy listening.
Just about how do we keep up with all this stuff? There's so much going on every day. It's very difficult.
Absolutely. My favorite is joining Facebook and LinkedIn communities and just seeing what's being discussed about AI. And if no one's talking about AI, maybe I'll mention something about AI. One, I just, are you guys using AI in your space? If so, what are you using for? And I'll usually do it like a show and tell. I'll share ways that I'm using AI and automations in my business. And a lot of them, that starts to get the conversation going, because you have those who don't even know what it is or what it can do. And they're like, wait, you can do that with this? How do you do that? And I'm like, oh gosh, follow this or check out this. But yeah, just find resources online, continue consuming that knowledge out there, but find the community, see who's actually putting it to use, what the real results are. And then you can get some ideas and inspiration for your own business on what you think AI and automation would be possible for your business.
I want to stress about that, since Chris made good mention of it, is that education is a key here. Nobody really has a good handle on what's coming next or all of the ways we can use AI. And that's why the community is such a big thing right now. We go back to Gmail, we go back to the telephone, we go back to all the things that people were afraid of when they first came onto the scene. It's about working together to understand the technology and how to practically use it, so that if we work together and not let our egos get in the way about competition and, I'm going to beat you to the punch on this. No, let's just figure out what it means to small business owners. Let's figure out how we can figure it out. And then there's no competition here. It's all new technology. So you might get ahead of somebody on it, but unless you know everything about the tech, you're no better than the next guy. So just learn with everybody.
I mean, it's always changing. You take a look at what happened with Blockbuster or Kodak or whatever. Like, if you're not just always watching and moving and tracking and analyzing how your own performance is going, then,
You know what's really funny about what you just said? Because you mentioned Kodak, I have to say this. It was literally back in the late 70s or late 60s, I think it was, that Kodak developed the first digital camera.
I heard.
Kodak, the owners of the corporation said, we're not that's not a good idea. We need our film. People buy our film. It's not about this ones and zeros stuff. Biggest marketing mistake they ever made in their life. Now they pay for it. That's why all those little Kodak photo booths disappeared.
It's a shame. All right. So there is one question that I've been asking since the beginning of this podcast, and I'm going to continue through season 3. And the question is around the shoulds, the social norms that we all face day to day. And I want to ask you both, what's the one social norm that you want to push back against?
I'll let you go first, Chris.
I think I alluded. Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I think I alluded it to before, is that treating any AI or LLM as one single source of truth, like this almighty, all-knowing, powerful being that gives us the exact right answer every single time. Because 1, hallucinations; 2, the summary and referencing back to previous information; 3, providing fake links and references to either case studies or previous court cases. There's things where it's just not. But people treat it as this is 100% correct, and I think even Google is making the mistake by treating this as I'm going to provide an accurate answer each time. I would rather that it's pulling the short snippets that it used to from actual websites that were credible, medical websites, college websites, educational websites, instead of just anything that's on the internet. If you've seen what AI overview can suggest sometimes is, how do I hang myself? Well, you probably want about 3 feet of rope and this. Like, I'm sorry, you actually gave me that answer, and I wasn't. This is the danger with a lot of AI and LLM here. So I think with the social norm is just stop treating it like it's this super knowledgeable, all-knowing being that can do anything and everything for you. Ask questions, be more critical thinkers, and challenge your AI as well. Prompt it to be more critical. Right now, there's that big update with ChatGPT where now it's all like super supportive. Like, that's a great idea. That's incredible. Here's what I got, for the next page. And it's like I need some more, objectiveness and critical thinking from the AI. So don't treat it as a single point of truth here. Think for yourself, and that way, it's going to be less likely that you're going to get swindled by this AI.
And that's the thing, the biggest thing that happens with market research as well. Whatever you search, there will be things that agree with that. Same as food. There's the scientific result saying XYZ is healthy, but another scientific result saying, oh, no, you're going to get cancer from it.
Happens all the time.
Careful.
For me, I think it's more about the kickback that we're getting from artists and musicians. And I'm standing bold against it because the complaint and the objection in that arena is always that it's stealing our work, it's copyright infringement, it's taking our art and it's making a mockery of it. Now, I know right now Disney and Universal are suing Midjourney for the fact that they believe that they're utilizing their graphical characters in a lot of the imagery that it creates. And that is going to be a very precedent-setting type of, I can't imagine where that's going to go yet. Because, and even with Suno and Udio, when it comes to music generation, I look at it this way. Every musician, every artist that has the talent to do so received that talent from one of two places. Either God himself, it was just something they were born with. They have this natural talent to produce art. I've seen it in young children where their art is just, how could you possibly draw like that at age 3? And then there's those who hone their talent by learning from the artists that came before them. There's no way they learn talent on their own by just reading books. They have to study the art of other artists. They have to listen to the music of other musicians. They have to try the techniques and methods that they tried and used when they were creating their art or their sculpture or their paintings. So it's no different. AI is not a creator. It is a learner. It understands and uses techniques to produce. So when I hear artists complaining that, oh, it's stealing our work, oh, it's copyright infringement, oh, it's just go away. I'm sorry, but I'm done hearing it. I really am. It's not a creator to work against you. It's not another person out there trying to compete with you. Use it as a tool. Develop better art. Make more art. Make other kinds of art. Just do something different with it. Stop complaining about it and try to make it something useful in your life. That's me kicking back.
Absolutely. So, something specific I just want to share with the music generation. And I know a lot of it is, we think that it's based on the previous music that's been created, but what they did for the music generators is they went more mathematical, more analytical with it. They basically took all the time signatures that are available, like 4/4, 3/4, half notes, quarter notes, 8 notes, and quantized that and put it into a formula. And basically, it is recreating the scales and all of these pieces more on a mathematical piece rather than using past music as a reference to then recreate something. So it's just a very interesting way that it's based on the numbers, zeros and ones here, as opposed to previous artwork. So yeah, I would agree. Specifically for the music feed, like pushback that they're getting, it's different how the software creates that music. It's very, very fascinating.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because there's one other aspect to that a lot of people don't understand. And a couple of guys have actually proven this point in the past. I can't mention their names because I don't recall, but there are only so many melodies that can be produced with music. There's a limit. And when you have a limit, there's going to be repetitiveness. So, and you hear it all the time. There's songs that sound like other songs and yada yada. So did the artist steal from the other artist? No, most likely not. They just had the same little jingle in their head going that they quantized and moved on with and added to or took away from. Even though it sounds like the other artist, they probably had no inspiration whatsoever from that, not the other person's song. So I just hate to see that competitiveness going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hell, we could even take that into business as well. Looking into other industries, other parallel industries, and adapting from there. Rather than just looking or researching from one industry, have a look what others are doing in other industries and kind of mesh that together, because there is that much information out there. Why not take it something totally different? And musicians do that so well. I've seen, trap, but it's classical music. The combos are endless there.
Mm-hmm. Make one style with this one, and very, very popular, especially on TikTok and YouTube Shorts, is just covers of popular songs. They want to hear, that melody and that lyrical pattern in just a different style. And there's crazy different amounts of styles. Do you know did you know the music style that is commonly played at Renaissance fairs, Renaissance fairs? Do you know that? With the mandolin and everything, It's called bardcore, and there's a specific style, but that gets replicated throughout many different ways. Just there's endless possibilities, but like Leland said, yes, there's only so many melodies available, and there's only so many notes that can fit together well. So it's you hear it once, you hear it quite a few times.
Heck yeah! What an episode! Thank you, Leland, Chris, for joining. Reach out to them, myself, or grab that Dealfront access in the episode description. And to you, my lovely listener, thanks for listening to the Art of Positioning podcast. If you loved this episode, a 5-star review goes a long way. Now, go get that ass.
No more excuses. No more branding band-aids. The Art of Positioning. Let's freaking go.